Another night, another win, another series win for the San Diego Padres. Kyle Glaser alongside Heath Bell bringing you a live post-game edition of Friar Territory. Heath, we talked about it all week leading up to the deadline. The Padres needed to make additions that would make a big difference for this team's playoff outlook. They certainly did that on paper, but you still have to go out and play the games. We're a week past the trade deadline now, and we have seen Ramon Laureano, Ryan O'Hearn, Freddie Fermin, Mason Miller all come in and make an immediate impact. And that was very, very, very clear tonight in their series finale victory over the Diamondbacks. Again, when you talk about instant impact from your trade deadline additions, the Padres couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, I really think everybody in the league has to respect the Padres because the whole lineup can hit the ball. I mean, it's not about crushing home runs, this and that. It's about getting base hits. And today, they just slowly, just wait until, the Diamondbacks had a little chink in the armor and got a couple hits. And before you know it, the Padres had a lead. And there you go. Got another win, especially when everybody else lost. The Mets and the Dodgers slowly creeping up.
Padres are only 2 games back of the Los Angeles Dodgers now for first place in the NL West. They face each other 6 times in the coming weeks. It's going to be very, very fun in the NL West. Once again, before we dive into details about tonight's game and the trade deadline, please, please, please go ahead, click that subscribe button. It helps us out big time. Subscribe and review us on Friar Territory. We'd love to hear from you. Again, the more subscribers we have, the more we can keep going. And again, we've been on the rise just like the Padres, so we're looking to keep it going. Heath, the Padres are 4-2 now since the trade deadline. And I want to be clear, this was a team that was playing really, really good baseball going into the trade deadline. So it's not like they were spiraling and all of a sudden the trade deadline additions have completely salvaged their season. But I was going to say, but that said, this is a different team. And we're seeing that with Ramon Laureano coming up. It was so interesting to me. The Sunday game against the Cardinals really crystallized it for me when he went 399 feet oppo for a home run. The Padres hadn't had anyone at the bottom of the order capable of doing that all year. Freddie Fermin, 3 for 4 tonight. Again, Laureano had another hit, a great play in left field, get the ball in quickly to throw out a runner at third base. Great relay by Jose Iglesias. Ryan O'Hearn had been making some hard contact, just hadn't been getting rewarded for it. And it was interesting. The at-bat just before his home run, he hit one, just missed it to right center. And then when the moment was the biggest, came up and hit that game-tying home run in the 9th. I think we're just seeing right away the trade deadline additions have fundamentally changed what this team is capable of, particularly in the lineup, what they're capable of offensively.
Well, you had a lot of good stars. You had a lot of good people that were, basically the top half, hitting the ball. And then you just had a bunch of holes, and that was basically the bottom half. And, the Padres started off this year great and then kind of struggled a little bit. But, here's the thing is they were still winning the series. They just weren't crushing teams. They were winning 1-run games, this and that. And right before the All-Star break, it was kind of like, okay, they're playing a little bit better. Right after the All-Star break and the trade deadline comes up, they started playing good baseball because I think they just needed a little break. They just needed a little breather. And then all of a sudden AJ goes out and fills up those holes that they needed. And, like for me, I think he just needed to play more. And the other guys, now you're in a playoff contention team and where it's exciting and you pretty much have a sold out stadium every night and you have fans when you go on the road. It just gives you excitement where you just want to do a little bit better and you just focus a little bit more and you just get those hits and then you come back and win a game like this. This is a perfect example of how good the Padres are, especially somebody like the Diamondbacks kind of falling off a little bit, but they can still score some runs and win the series and come back like this. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I want to start with the offensive additions. And I talked about this. And again, you can roll back the tape. I said it on deadline day. The headline acquisition for the Padres was the Mason Miller acquisition because of Mason Miller, how hard he throws the baseball, his status as really one of the most exciting back-end relievers in baseball to watch, and of course the Padres trading away Leo Dallas DeVries, a consensus top 5 prospect in baseball. That was the marquee headline trade. But the trade that was going to make the biggest difference for the Padres and the most impactful trade was the trade with the Orioles for Ramon Laureano and Ryan O'Hearn. And we have seen that. I want to really dial in on Laureano. He's a tremendously talented player who we know is capable of doing ungodly things defensively, has a great arm, and when he's right, he can hit and hit for power. Last year, things weren't working out, but he was having a really good year for the Orioles this season. And right away, just the impact we've seen. Again, I talk about that Oppo extra base impact. His first hit as a Padre, triple down the right field line. That home run 399 feet, right center Oppo at Petco Park, which again, the Padres haven't had anyone in the bottom third of the order capable of doing that. And not just this year. It feels like it's been a minute. And on top of that, we saw the defense tonight. That play as the seventh, I believe, was really, really key. Where again, he goes back, makes the catch in deep left field, gets the ball in very, very quick with a perfect one hopper on a line to Jose Iglesias. Iglesias is able to execute the perfect relay. But it's little things like that. Laureano can impact a game offensively and defensively. We've seen already. And again, we talked about the Padres needing more from left field offensively, but also a defensive upgrade, because when Gavin Sheets was out there again, you knew you were getting 40 grade defense. And then when you had guys like Bryce Johnson out there, Brandon Lockridge, or all the guys they threw out there, you just weren't going to get anything offensively. To have a two-way left fielder who can both hit and play good baseball on the defensive side, that is an upgrade that was just so massive. And again, I talked about Ramon Laureano was a perfect fit for them for 2 months. Now that he's a Padre, he is delivering. And it's been so impactful for this team. It's only been 6 games. You don't want to go crazy, but in those 6 games, the difference is huge.
Well, it's when you find ball players, look what happens. A ball player can play some defense, doesn't have to be the best in the world, but he's a solid guy. He's going to make occasionally a couple highlight rolls. And it's somebody that can swing the bat. He doesn't have to hit 300, doesn't have to be a Hall of Famer, but he's a good baseball player. It's about 260. Yeah. And those are what we didn't have. We had our stars, and then we had our basically bench guys become players. And now those guys, maybe need a little bit more time in AAA or whatnot, or this and that. But now we got some big league, average players, and look.
There's no more Trenton Brooks. It's not, that the days where the starting lineup had Trenton Brooks, Tyler Wade, and Martin Maldonado as your bottom 3 hitters. Those are gone. And I mean, I talked about it. There was a large chunk of the season. It was 2 or 3 automatic outs at the bottom of the lineup. And now
that's basically like 3 innings. So you only have like 6 innings to play.
You're giving away 9 outs a game. And that was hurting the Padres. We saw that. This, again, was one of the bottom 5 offenses in baseball for the better part of 2.5 months. And it's just different now. You can feel it. You can see it. And I think, too, with Ramon Laureano, he moved into the 2-hole today. But, 4 extra base hits in 6 games. The Padres 7, 8, 9 hitters. And this is really, really important and really just shows the difference. Going into the trade deadline, the Padres had a 584 OPS, worst in the major leagues from their 7 through 9 hitters. And now you have impact really 1 to 9. Laureano we talked about, but the other player I think deserves a lot of credit is Freddy Fermin, catcher who came over from the Royals. He went 3 for 4 tonight. The Padres have a catcher who can hit. And again, it makes such a world of difference. And I think what really has stood about Freddy Fermin to me more than anything, and I really appreciated this, covering the Cardinals series, watching him in person, because you can watch the way a guy moves on TV. It's different when it's in person. How athletic he is, how quick he is. The Padres didn't have that. Look, Elias Diaz, Heath, you can speak to this. He's listed at 223. He's easy 240, 250. He's a big boy. He doesn't move. Martin Maldonado was 38 years old. You know how many players, fudge their heights and weights. Just get out of the box.
There's not a lot of big guys like me that can move. Me and Tom Coffey, we can move. Everybody else,
Todd Coffey, that's right. But again, just the swing, the way he gets out of the box, the way he gets down the line. Even tonight, making that a close play at third on that little dribbler that Jackson Merrill hit. Just there's a speed and explosiveness to all parts of his game that the Padres didn't have. And also he's just a better receiver than Elias Diaz. Diaz will, drop some balls from time to time. So
you got to have good catching. You got to have a good outfield. This team's exciting. We're not, I know you don't want to say it too early, and I don't want to say it too early, but I did bring these out just because
wow.
I think it's something that's going to happen this year. So I'm leaving it on my desk. So yeah, it's just, it's the feel in the air. If everything keeps going the way it's going, we're going to take those Dodgers and we're just going to keep going.
Again, it's been 6 games since the trade deadline. There's a lot of baseball left, almost 50 games left. So a lot of this you don't want to get overly excited about after a small sample size. But
I think San Diego's really excited.
seeing the impact this quickly from so many guys has just been a breath of fresh air.
I
And
love how they're meshing together, and they're
yeah,
just, it's not a bunch of new guys with the old guys. It seems like these guys have been on the team for a long time.
there's no question. Again, being in the clubhouse, everyone's comfortable. It really, really was a natural fit. So, again, a lot of baseball left, but so far so good. And you look at, look, the Yankees had a great trade deadline on paper. It has not worked out for them. Their bullpen completely imploded. There's so many times you see trades that make sense on paper and they just don't work out. For the Padres, they're working out. Heath, we've talked about the offensive additions with Ramon Laureano, Ryan O'Hearn, big game tying home run tonight. Freddie Fermin, again, going 3 for 4 from the catcher spot in the 9-hole. Production the Padres weren't getting, and it's not a one-game fluke. He's been hitting consistently since he arrived. But Mason Miller had a big moment tonight. We're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsors, and dive into Mason Miller's impact.
It's summertime, it's bathing suit time, and it's time to get a better bathing suit liner. It's 2025, Kratz. I would like to feel more comfortable, and I would like to thank Fair Harbor for doing that.
It's super easy. Get the Fair Harbor Breeze Knit liner in your shorts. You can go play football on the beach. You can play paddle ball, and you don't got to worry about that crappy liner that other bathing suits have.
It is so comfortable. You got to check it out. I'm telling you, it's like butter, baby. You got to check out the Fair Harbor, not only bathing suits, but they carry a full line of casual clothing, shorts, shirts, hoodies. Go to the website, fairharborclothing.com/foul, and use code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase. That's fair, HARBOR clothing.com/foul for 20% off your first purchase. And make sure that you use the FT promo code so that they know we sent you and you get the discount, FOUL.
All right, Heath. Mason Miller, as we talked about, was the big headline addition, not the most impactful addition. The most impactful additions were Laureano and O'Hearn, and Freddie Fermin has turned into one of the most impactful additions. Again, he was hitting .333 for the Padres going into tonight, and then went 3 for 4. But this was a big moment for Mason Miller. He recorded his first save as a Padre tonight, and it came a night after he served up a game-tying 2-run homer to Lourdes Gurriel. First batter he faces tonight, Lourdes Gurriel, strikes him out on 3 pitches, 3 straight sliders, finished the game blowing 103 past Adrian Del Castillo. Just a fantastic bounce back outing for him. And we talk about relievers have to have short memories. The best ones do. This was just a very, very impressive performance by Mason Miller. Again, the stuff is crazy loud, but for him to bounce back the way he did, get that first career save, it was a really, really impressive just outing for him overall, the context and the performance.
Yeah, so it reminds me of a little story when I came with to the Pods in 07.
Yeah.
I was setting up for Trevor, and I blew the lead in the 8th inning, and I was bummed out. Blah blah blah. We ended up winning the game. I ended up getting the W. Trevor Hoffman got the save, and Bud Black came to my chair, and he knew I was upset because I was dominating for like a couple weeks prior. And he goes, "Hey, if the same situation arrives with the same guys, you're my guy tomorrow. Don't worry about it."
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure Mike said some of that to Miller because the next day, 8th inning came. Guess what happened? The same guys came up, and I was a little worried and warming up. And I'm like, okay, they're putting me in this. I ended up going 1, 2, 3. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I went 1, 2, 3, and I was like, I got this. And it felt great that my manager had my back. And after, when I came in, he goes, I told you yesterday was a fluke. So I'm pretty sure Mike probably said the same thing to Miller like that. And, it just shows how good Miller is and how good he is mentally. As a being a closer / reliever, you need the mental strength more than I think anybody else on the field because situations like this arise. I mean, yesterday wasn't a save situation, but it probably felt that way. And he felt like he lost the game for the team. And
even though they came back to win, the fact that it had to go to extras, it's not
I guarantee he felt like, man, I blew it. We should have won easy, blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Him coming back and actually getting a save today. It was great seeing, kind of, set up the other guys kind of like, I'm not throwing the same thing. Everybody knows I'm throwing 103, but I'm just going to save that when I need it. So it was great to see Miller throw other pitches on a fastball. And it was, it brought me back memories of my day when I was playing.
Yeah, with Mason Miller, again, his debut outing, setting up Robert Suarez, gave up one hard contact, but got a double play ball, got out of it, no problem. I will say, in the second game against the Diamondbacks, in which he gave up the 2-run homer to Lourdes Gurriel, the umpire missed 3 strike calls at the top of the zone because he was just throwing so dang hard. And because of that, he had to start pitching a little lower, and just started having to pitch more in the middle of the zone, which Lourdes Gurriel got him homering, turning around 103.9. So look, give Lourdes Gurriel credit. That's pretty impressive. The hardest pitch that has been hit for a home run since pitch tracking began in 2008. But for Mason Miller to come back out, strike him out on 3 sliders, and again, also not be afraid to go back to the fastball when, look, the Diamondbacks once again had the tying run on, 2 outs. He wasn't afraid to just blow hitters away, challenge him. Here's my best shot, hit it if you can. Yeah, there's no fear there. I do want to ask you, just as a closer, as a reliever, watching Mason Miller regularly for the first time. Because again, we've seen him with the A's, we've seen him, highlights, but watching him regularly for the first time, what is sticking out to you?
Well, what sticks out to me is he likes to throw up in the zone. Yeah. It's kind of like what I like to do back in the day. And a lot of guys are afraid to do that. And I just feel like with his stuff, the way it comes out, it's throwing 103 miles an hour. But I think just the way he releases it, it's okay it looks like that pitch right here where hitters like, oh, I'm going to crush it. And by the time they start swinging, they're like, it's too high. It never dropped down. So, and I like his style, how he really is like, he's out there pitching, but it almost looks like he's just like, I'm just going to throw it and see if you can hit me. But really, I think a pitcher knows a pitcher, and he looks like he's out there pitching. And beforehand, I thought, okay, throws 104 miles an hour. It's probably a big thrower. So what really stands out for me is it looks like he's out there pitching, trying to hit his spots. And it doesn't matter. I think if you pitch up in the zone, as long as you pitch, strikes and right out of their bat level, you can pitch up there, you can pitch down and, left, right, in and out. So I feel like he's pitching more than I gave him credit for when I saw him for Oakland with some highlights.
Yeah, again, he's a really, really good pitcher. And you're right. There's so many guys out there who throw really, really hard, but just throwers. You think about
they throw really hard, and there's also some guys that just throw really like nasty sliders, but they're just throwers.
Yeah.
They're not trying to hit spots. They're just like my slider, my splitter is just so nasty. Yeah. I'm just throwing it. If that fastball's good, I'm just throwing it because it stinks. No, this guy's trying to hit spots.
Yeah, I mean, look, Tygo Vieira hit 104, couldn't stay in the majors. Why? He was a thrower, didn't know where it was going. Michael Clito, Archimedes Caminero. There have been guys who have been able to throw 102, 103, 104 before, but couldn't stay in the majors. Because again, if the ball's 3 feet outside, it doesn't matter how hard you throw. So Mason Miller, the ability to throw strikes with both his fastball and his slider. He's able to get chases with his slider and land it in the zone. It's impressive and speaks to the talent. And Heath, I think what's encouraging about the Padres right now, again, we talk about all these trade deadline additions. Laureano's made an immediate impact. Fermin's made an immediate impact. Miller's made an immediate impact. O'Hearn, his home run was his first with the Padres. He'd been making some hard contact. It was only a matter of time. It's not like he was up there swinging and missing, looking lost, even though the numbers weren't great. He was hitting the ball hard. It was only a matter of time. What's encouraging, too, is 4 of the 6 have produced. The 2 starting pitchers they acquired, JP Sears, struggled in his first start with the Padres, was sent down to AAA. Nestor Cortes wasn't able to complete 5 today. Again, didn't pitch terribly, but you want your stars to get through 5 and preferably 6 innings. There's more upside here, and I think that's what's so impressive about the level of impact the Padres are getting right out the gate is it's not even like this is maxed out. O'Hearn still has more ability to start seeing more balls fall in or go over the fence as he makes more hard contact. I feel pretty safe saying Nestor Cortes isn't going to fail to get through 5 innings repeatedly over the course of the season. And look, JP Sears has had some really good outings too. So I think that's what makes this team really interesting moving forward is this is a completely different team with these trade deadline acquisitions. You can feel it in the clubhouse. You can see it on the field, in-person TV, and there's still more upside. And I think that is what makes this team really, really interesting and a threat, not just to the Dodgers, but to the rest of the National League. And the Padres are 2 games back of the Dodgers. They get them 6 times here over the next couple of weeks. They're in striking distance. And oh, by the way, Now with a lengthened lineup and a pitching staff as good top to bottom as they have, I mentioned this on Monday's show with Mike Cameron. This was a team that before was going to have to scratch and claw to barely get in the playoffs and probably would have been wild card round, maybe division series round fodder. Now, this is a legitimate World Series contender. I'm not going to say the favorite, but you can very easily see this team in a World Series. They have the lineup depth, they have the rotation, and Lord knows they have the bullpen, and also the defense and base running.
I think all the guys that they traded for are just trying to get hits, and then our stars are just trying to get hits. And if you get a hold of one, you get a hold of one, but it's not like they have to carry the team anymore. But I will like to say what was happening in April is happening right now. Guys were bunting. They're moving guys over. They're stealing. We get some trades. We're doing that again. So, Mike, if you're listening, or the Padres boys, keep doing what you're doing about trying to manufacture, sack fly, produce, but also go ahead and swing it and move the ball over. And you're just playing good baseball right now. That's all I got to say. And I'm happy to watch good baseball and not just, okay, let's see who's going to hit a home run, and can somebody carry a 3-run home run, and then can the pitching staff hold it? So, or can everybody hit a home run today, and that's the only way we're going to win? So it's a good baseball team right now. And after the trade deadline, like you said, and I don't think a lot of analysts are giving the Padres much credit. I think they won in the trade deadline, and I think, like you said, they're a good, solid team now. There's not really many holes. There's really no holes out there. So it just, the other teams are going to be like, okay, who's not going to get a hit today? Because most of the team's going to get a hit, but let's try not to string them along.
Again, before you were giving away on most days 9 outs a game and definitely 6 outs a game. Now there's no easy outs in this lineup. And I also want to point out with Freddy Fermin, he has done an excellent job stepping in and acclimating to what was a very, very good Padres pitching staff and handling them very, very well. There has been no drop-off from the Padres pitchers. Again, some of the relievers have had bad outings. Morejon struggled in the 9th on Sunday, but up to that point, the Padres had struck out 16 Cardinals, held them to 3 hits over 8 innings. Again, tonight, this Diamondbacks offense is still a good offense. Again, had to go early to the bullpen. Even yesterday, 7 after Yu Darvish struggled, the bullpen threw 7 innings for the Padres, allowed only 2 runs, the Mason Miller 2-run homer. And Heath, you can speak to this. It is not easy for a catcher to come in mid-season, figure out a whole new group of relievers and also new starters and fit in with them right away. I mean, it's very, very important. It's also really, really impressive what he's done there.
It's really impressive what he's done, because for a good catcher to come in, he's got to go to every guy in the bullpen and have a conversation with them and talk to him, and then remember the conversation. I mean, starting pitcher, you always sit down with the catcher and pitcher, and even the backup guy sits in those meetings. Hey, what do you want to do, against this guy or that guy in this situation? But you don't do that with relievers. The catchers that come in, you got to go find the relievers and go chit chat with them and talk to them. Or even some cases, hey, I'm going to throw a touch and feel. Hey, can I catch it? Because I want to see what the ball does. I want to see what this does. I want to see what you're trying to do. I want to see what you're confident in and not confident in, what you're working on. And I feel like he's doing that in a short time. And that just shows that, he doesn't have a huge ego. And I think I think the Padres found a catcher. That's all I got to say. I think they found a catcher for a while.
And look, I'll own it. I was skeptical. I thought trading Ryan Berger and Stephen Kolek, 2 solid, young, controllable starters for a catcher who had never been a primary starter in his career, was a heavy price to pay. And I did think too high of a price to pay. Again, it's been 6 games. No one wins anything on August 6th. If Freddie Fermin falls on his face the rest of the season, it'll be a different conversation. But right now, it's actually looking like, the Padres nailed this, especially where they were, where their catching situation was to where it is now. It's just a world of difference. All right, Heath. Now I want to talk to you about the players who are already Padres and how their performance has improved since these new additions arrived. We're going to take a quick word here from our sponsors. I should try that again. We're going to take a quick break, hear a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Kratz, there are a lot of people out there that pay rent and they don't get anything for it.
Might as well change that. You can get some rewards for flights, hotels, tons of stuff.
With Built, you can earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards airlines, hotels, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and much more. It doesn't stop there. Built is about making your entire neighborhood more rewarding. You can dine out at your favorite local restaurants and enjoy experiences just for Built members every month. They're turning a monthly expense into an opportunity to earn rewards and discover the best that your neighborhood has to offer. Your rent is finally working for you. Earn points on rent and around your neighborhood, wherever you call home, by going to joinbuilt.com/foul. That's joinbilt.com/FOUL. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/foul. Go for it.
All right, Friar Territory, Kyle Glaser and Heath Bell here with you. Heath, we know what the new acquisitions have been doing. We've been talking about it all show. Freddy Fermin's hitting .438 since coming over to the Padres. Ramon Laureano, .346 with 4 extra base hits in 6 games. Again, Ryan O'Hearn with the big home run. Mason Miller with the save tonight. But the other thing that has happened is it has taken some pressure off the players who were in the lineup and frankly knew that if they were hitting 6-hole, 7-hole, they had to drive in whatever runners were on base because it wasn't happening when the 8 and 9 hitters came up. And I don't think it's a coincidence we have seen Jake Cronenworth start to hit a lot better since these new additions came. Now Cronenworth is in the 8th spot, and it's not all on him. There were times this year where you could see he was kind of overswinging a little bit, got out of his game a little bit, which is more hardline drives. And now he's just back to being himself. And again, he had that home run against St. Louis. Again, he's hitting for average. He's still having great at-bats, getting on base. Look, he's homered, doubled, driven in 5 runs in 6 games. The slug is up. I just think he's swinging the bat better. And a lot of it is, again, before you're hitting 7-hole, no, it's all on you. And now he can take a breather and be like, hey, I can pass the baton. And we all know if you're more relaxed in the batter's box, you're going to have a lot more success.
Well, Cronenworth's a perfect example of, when you have protection, we always talk about like the 3rd guy or the 4th guy, if they got protection, this and that, but it does help if you're in the bottom of the lineup, even if you're in the 6, 7 spot and there's a guy behind you that can hit, because if you're like the guy that can hit and the guy behind you can't hit. So, and if you got to get on base, you're going to extend the strike zone to try to get something done, this and that. You're going to play out of your game. Or if you just like play your game, you're going to walk and the next guy's going to get out and then you're going to get off the field and you're going to be like, okay, maybe that one pitch I could have done something with, I got to do something. But now everybody's in the lineup where Jake, he's just comfortable. He could just go out there and like put some bunts down, hit the ball hard, do this, do that, create some havoc. And he's not like, okay, I got to get a hit to turn the lineup over, or I got to do this. It's like, okay, I just got to do what I got to do. And before you know, the Crone zone's going to show up.
Yeah, again, Cronenworth hit 7th tonight. He's hit at 8th a couple other games. And again, he's just playing a lot better. I should say he's hitting a lot better. He was playing great defense. He was having good quality at bats. But in terms of the quality of contact and his swing, it's been a lot better since the other guys showed up.
Well, and here's also the other aspect. The pitchers have to throw, and they're like, okay, I got to get Cronenworth out. Yeah. Where beforehand it was like, okay, if I walk him, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. No one was afraid of Martin Maldonado and his 180 batting average hitting down there, or Trenton Brooks, or Tyler Wade, or any of the other guys the Padres were throwing out there, even semi-regularly. The other player that, look, we have to talk about, Xander Bogaerts, who, look, you were on the verge of throwing in the towel. You had the towel ready. And he has been not just one of the Padres' best hitters, but one of the best hitters in baseball over the last 6 weeks now. And I talked about this on an earlier show. Through June 15th, he was bottom 10 in the majors in OPS. He was one of the 10 worst hitters in baseball, objectively. Since then, he's been one of the 10 to 12 best hitters in baseball. I mean, it hasn't been a small improvement. It has been a world of difference. And we're seeing now the home run power start to come. Before it was just, better quality contact, more balanced swings, a lot of doubles. Now he's homered in back-to-back games, had a big home run today to give the Padres their first run, kind of get their comeback started in earnest in a lot of ways. And again, he was already hitting well before the deadline, so I don't want to overstate this. But it helps when you know, hey, if in some cases when Bart's hitting 6, it's like, I got to drive these guys in. If I don't, they can walk Cronenworth and then, again, automatic out to the bottom of the lineup. Again, just loosens everybody up. It's not just about what the new guys do. It's about how they impact the guys who are already there. And again, I do not think it's a coincidence. I know it's not a coincidence that Jake Cronenworth is swinging the bat better. Bogarts, I'll say this, his balance and his bat speed look as good as they have all year. And it's a really, really good sign for the Padres moving forward.
Hey, X is hitting what, 340 since that time frame. He's been crushing the ball. So he's not like, I think he's a silent assassin because he's not hitting. I mean, he's hitting some home runs here and there, but for the most part, he wasn't hitting home runs. He's just getting base hits, occasionally getting a hit here, getting 2 hits here, this and that. And then, there's nobody really behind him to drive him in. So you probably didn't really notice it. Now you're starting to notice it. And now he's got guys in front of him that are getting on this and that. So he's hitting the ball. And now it's all coming together. And let's just say the spotlight's not on him anymore. And all that hard work he was doing in April and May when he wasn't doing well is starting to pay off now. So, buddy, just keep working hard. Keep doing what you're doing. And hopefully – my prediction, comeback player of the year, was going to be you, and then maybe the towel's coming. Towel's over there now. Let's not bring it up anymore, and let's win that award. Come on, buddy. Let's go.
Yeah, since June 17th, Xander Bogaerts is hitting 329 with a 905 OPS, nearly as many walks as strikeouts, 6 homers, 13 doubles. He's really, really been one of the most impactful hitters, not just for the Padres, but in the National League over the last 6-7 weeks. And I think this sums it up as well as you can. Luis Arraez, Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado won a combined 0 for 13 tonight, and Fernando Tatis Jr. didn't play. And the Padres still won. That is something that was not happening in April. It was not happening in May. It was not happening in June, and it was not happening in July. They were so dependent on the guys at the top of the lineup that if, God forbid, they had an off night, they were screwed. And that's not the case anymore. And again, not that 3 runs is some enormous offensive explosion, but they have the guys in the lineup capable of picking up the slack when inevitably those offers happen or when guys need a day off. Again, if I had told you a month ago, hey, Machado, Merrill, and Arraez want to combine 0 for 13, Tatis didn't play, you'd be like, yeah, the Padres got shut out. Instead, they won the game. And that is such an enormous difference. And it's something that, again, completely changes the dynamic of what is now possible for this team.
It's because it's a good baseball team now, and it's not a bunch of stars with some guys that nobody knows. It's a baseball team. That's basically what it rolls down to. Good baseball team, good fundamental baseball. You got to take a day off once a week. Not everybody's Cal Ripken, Iron Man. So it's it's one of those things that when you have a team and everybody does the little things and not everybody's looking to swing for the fences, move some people over, sack fly. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Bunt, move guys over with a sack bunt or a squeeze or a double. The double squeeze, the double steal, even if it doesn't work, the other team is like, dude, this lineup just keeps, attacking us. Yeah. And that's what the Padres did in April, and that's what I see the Padres doing here in August, and we just got to keep it going to the rest of the season.
And we talk so much about they're getting closer to the Dodgers, only 2 games back now, but the other thing that happened with this win tonight, the Padres now moved into the number 5 spot in the NL playoff picture. They passed the Mets, and again, in that 6th spot, you talk about, oh man, we might have to go to Philly, which no one wants to have to go to Philly for the postseason. That's just not a place opposing teams tend to do well. And now if you're in the 5 spot, okay, now you have, again, significantly increased your odds of getting out of the wild card round. And of course you want to win the division, don't get me wrong. But again, they're climbing the division race. They're climbing the wild card race. Everything is clicking the way the Padres hoped it would. And I want to finish with this, Heath. You busted out the goggles earlier. Are you thinking those are goggles for a wild card berth? Are you thinking they're goggles for winning a division series? Are they goggles for winning a CS? Are they goggles for winning World Series? What do you think those goggles will be for?
I think those goggles are going to be worn a lot this year, and you got to wear them. You got to wear them to have fun. So that's all I got to say is the goggles are going to be worn this year, and I think it's going to be many times. It's not just going to be one and done. I might have to go get some more goggles.
We will see. And again, I want to take a step back. It's been 6 games. A lot can and will change. But where this excitement comes from, where the optimism comes from, is just the enormous difference.
It's a different team.
It is a fundamentally different team that opposing teams have to now plan for in a fundamentally different way. And that is the goal of the trade deadline. And again, I mentioned this on Monday's show. Lord knows I have been very critical of AJ Preller at times throughout his tenure. But if you're going to be critical, you have to also give credit. For the Padres, with limited financial resources and limited prospect resources, to find ways to acquire players to upgrade the lineup, the rotation, the bullpen, and the bench, it's a really, really impressive showing. And again, some of the players they traded away will probably have very good major league careers. You look back in a few years, be like, yeah, it'd be nice to have that guy. I've covered Leo DeVries in the minors. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to be a very good player. He will have a very good big league career as long as he stays healthy. Boston Bateman's a really talented lefty. I think he's going to be more than fine and have a very nice career as long as he stays healthy. Ryan Bergert, Stephen Kolek, 2 legit major league pitchers. They will help fill out a Royal staff and be effective big leaguers. And there's always a bill that comes due. And I'm not saying that when we look 5 years from now, we're going to say, oh, the Padres want every one of these trades. But every team's goal, every winning team's goal at the deadline is to go out and upgrade their team to a point that it fundamentally changes the upside of their team, how good they can be, and what they're capable of. And in that sense, the Padres knocked it out of the park. Excuse the cliche.
I just think AJ, I mean, I'll give him credit where credit's due. He basically told the league, here's my AA team. Go ahead and can I pick for a whole team?
It was more the low A team, but yes. Yeah.
Or the A-ball team, whichever it was. I mean,
Storm roster is pretty thin.
I'm kind of curious. What did the minor league teams look like today? I mean, did they just sign guys? Because you got to have a full roster.
It's a lot of the international signees who were in the ACL are now in full season ball, probably a year before they should be. But again,
probably signed some free agents out there, some independent guys because we needed some more pitching.
I don't know. I mean, there are some undrafted free agents filling out the ACL.
I'm just saying AJ did a really good job this year so far. And I think the GM that's going for it, year in, year out, you have to admit that he's at least going for it and saying, I don't care about next year because I care about this year, where most GMs say that, but really secretly they're like, well, I don't know.
I would say baseball as an industry is very, very risk averse. And it does create a little bit of a competitive advantage for the GMs who are willing to be more aggressive. Dave Dombrowski with the Phillies, really throughout his career with the Tigers, the Phillies, the Marlins, he has shown that can be a situation where a more aggressive GM can end up on top. Again, AJ Preller has a much more mixed track record. I am not comparing him in any way, shape, or form to Dave Dombrowski, but the mindset of when everyone else is being super, super, super conservative and risk averse, if you can be a little more aggressive, there's a competitive advantage there. And I think, again, the Padres front office, who, again, Lord knows, I have criticized them many times, they deserve credit here. They really, really do. And it's not just AJ Preller. Look, he's at the head of this, but it's everyone. It's the entire baseball ops staff. It's the pro scouts working their tails off. It's the analytics guys, diving in to do the research. It's everyone. It's the special assistants. It's the assistant GMs. This wasn't a one-man show where just AJ Preller did everything. And I think it's important to really credit the entire Padres baseball operations department on the pro side for, again, going into a deadline with limited financial resources, limited prospect resources, really, really needing to hit on their acquisitions because this was a team that was on the margins. And again, it's been 6 games, but by all appearances, they've done exactly that.
It's been fun to watch. Let's keep going. Let's do another 6 games.
We will see how it goes. All right, Heath, any final thoughts before we wrap up this live edition of Friar Territory?
No, let's just go eat up some clam chowder in the next couple of days. Let's come home and, take a bite out of it.
Yes, indeed. The Padres return home. The Red Sox are coming to town. I will be there covering the series for MLB.com. So stay tuned. You can read all my coverage on MLB.com. We'll be talking about it here on Friar Territory. Find us on Twitter at Kyle A. Glaser, at Heath Bell 21. Again, please, please, please go ahead and subscribe, review, We'd love to hear from you. Rate us 5 stars, the whole deal, all the things. For Heath Bell, I'm Kyle Glaser. Thank you for watching and listening to this special live edition of Friar Territory. We will see you later this week.